Boom. Oh, welcome everybody. John Arvosis here. Hello. Here in Washington, D.C., having a little bit of after effect from my COVID second booster, but surviving-ish. Here to talk about Ukraine. And as always, we'll start in about 5 minutes. We'll wait about 5 minutes for the Russians to arrive to disrupt us. But it also gives a chance for TikTok and YouTube and all the rest of you to arrive as well. So we can chat. We'll always say we start with coffee talk or coffee talk for the TikTokers for the first 5 minutes. I'm okay. I had my second booster. I did in a Moderna this time. And it's funny. I don't feel sick. It was yesterday, but I don't feel well. It's almost like 25% of maybe 20% of a flu. So it's like not a flu, but it's, a little uncomfortable. I took a nap, feeling better, but I made some chamomile, which, in my Ukraine mug. So, oh boy. Anyway, so what's going? The Russian vaccine is better. Yeah, exactly. Thank you, Mike. I did J&J at first because it was the first one available, and I just took whatever was available. And then because I know a very important immunologist in the country and asked him for advice. Thank you, Baby Shoe. Asked him for advice and then talked to another epidemiologist I know who's works for the government. And it's not Dr. Fauci. And basically both of them said, get the Pfizer. This was back in I got the first shot in end of February. This was May. And both of them said, get the Pfizer. Basically meaning, you need another shot. So I went and got Pfizer, and then I waited for 3 months plus to get the second Pfizer. Because at that point, they already were calling for boosters after 6 months, and that counted as my booster. So anyway, second Pfizer, I counted as my booster. And this is now, okay, inspired. I will go look. Thank you. And now, anyways, so I decided to get a Moderna to be my second booster. And just because I wanted I don't know. I just feel like if it gets people sick, it's got to be doing something right. But yes, I took paracetamol is the European name for acetaminophen, which I don't know what we call acetaminophen. That's the generic. Is it Tylenol? I think it's Tylenol is what we call it. I know they were there when I got here. Bill Allen, I didn't have a choice. I didn't know what they were. I didn't like them. When I bought the place, I was like, I don't like those sprinklers. And my realtor and my friend, who are both my friends, said it's part of the loft thing. I was like, all right. Any case, so yes, I did Tylenol, but you're not supposed to. Another 2 minutes or so, guys, before waiting for folks to come in. You're not really supposed to do other stuff beyond acetaminophen, which is Tylenol, because it's not proven, I think. Thank you, Pernell. But there is a concern that the other stuff might reduce your immune response, right? If it's getting rid of the fever, if it's getting rid of stuff like that, then your body's immune response isn't kicking in fully. So that was what I had read and what I was told. So that's how I'm doing it. But the problem is acetaminophen or paracetamol or Tylenol, whatever, it's never strong enough for me. It's the one that doesn't quite, I know a 23-year-old who got killed by it. It can be bad for your liver if you overdose on it. Yes. Literally, friend of the family, 23-year-olds died. And all they can guess, another 2 minutes, guys, here. At 5 after, we'll start. But I did not get corona. No, I got my booster yesterday. That is Baleen in the background from Alaska, because I worked for the senator from Alaska 5 years and got to go up to Alaska 5 different times, or now 5, like 10 different times. What am I saying? But yes, I forget what she had. If she had ibuprofen or acetaminophen, whichever one she had, she took too much. And she basically also, we think, did the what are they called? The packets you put in the hot water, and Theraflu. So they think she did Theraflu and then the same drug on the side, not thinking. And she was out drinking with friends. So her liver was trying to process the alcohol and the other 2 drugs OD'd and it killed her liver. Literally was dead within 4 days. Horrific. I mean, 23 years old. Horrific story. In any case, what do you do? I was going to say nasty way to start the show, although we're talking about war anyway. So, I've got a lot of news today, actually. So, anyway, so yes, I'm feeling okay. Not perfect. But I have, like I said, I've got chamomile and my backup chamomile, nice and hot. So nothing. I'm about to say, actually, I'll start right now. I know everybody says try whiskey. I am not a whiskey drinker, so I don't own whiskey. I do own rum. So I don't know whether rum is allowed. But we're talking, well, no. And if anything, I don't have COVID. I have COVID vaccine right now. Yes, Polysci Chris, the article I just put up by the Brzezinski, who isn't related to the Brzezinskis, if that's the one you mean. There was another one earlier, I believe. All right, guys, let me start. So I am John Aravosis. I am here in Washington, D.C. Hopefully I will make it through the show. I'm having a little bit of a reaction to my Moderna booster. Not terrible, but don't feel fabulous. But I'm going to get rolling. What I typically do is I'm going to do about 20 to 25 minutes of news, the news that I think matters that happened in the last 24 hours. And then afterwards, we'll do question and answer. And we pretty much hang until quarter after the next hour. So about an hour and 15 minutes. And then shoot the bull, answer questions, whatever you guys want to talk about. Usually most of it's Ukraine. Some people want to get into the U.S. elections and other stuff. But anyway, let me get rolling. Let me first say, okay, for how you pose questions, TikTok has made this very difficult, but in order to pose questions on TikTok, obviously you can just write them in the comments, but they flow by. In order for them to be somewhere where they stick and I can actually read them, go to my profile on TikTok. And if you look really close, you're going to see a red button that says Q&A for question and answer. Click that button, leave me a question. You guys, obviously, you can post the comments in the comment box. And also you can do the super chat questions, which is a nice way to get my attention because always do the super chat questions. They're obvious. And that's also my promise to you. Since you pay for them, I always promise I will answer super chat questions. So let me get rolling. And thank you for doing the last thing, the gifts on TikTok. I appreciate those as well. I like those a lot, actually. So I will always try to do a shout out when I see those. I do have a backup account. It's Aravosis Backup. One word, Aravosis Backup. And you will know, thank you for the little hearts there, Big Taurus. You will know because I put a video on that account, thank you, El, that literally tells you the name of the account in the video. I make sure that I say it's Aravosis Backup so that if anybody steals the video, it's not going to be the right account. All right, let me get rolling, folks. So first big thing, our fundraiser is closed. We did very well. As you may recall, I was raising money for people with disabilities in Ukraine in one of the towns that is on the front line. And thank you, Grandma, for the hat there. It's on the front line. And the head of the Association of People with Disabilities of the town reached out to Harkovu Mir, which is the nonprofit that we've been working with, the NGO. Thank you, Melissa and William. The NGO in Kharkiv that does kind of a Meals on Wheels thing. They make and deliver food to shut-ins, to old people who won't leave their homes. When the bombing was going on and people were in the subways and living in the subways for a month or longer, they would set up food tables in the subways. Anyway, head of this Association of People with Disabilities reached out and said, we're being bombed. We can't get any supplies. We need food, medicine, and hygiene supplies such as toothpaste, etc. So he said he needed about $5,000. The final tally of what you guys kicked in was $4,335. Amazing. I will note again that Goldfish in Paradise herself raised $1,000 at a pool party she held, which was just simply awesome. And that's great. Vlad's been sending me videos of like all the different products they bought. He's got more tomorrow he's going to send me, and then I'll do a little video to show you guys everything they got. What else? So and the food will be delivered actually possibly tonight or tomorrow. I don't want to get into more details. Not that the Russians are taking intelligence off of me, but I'll let you know once it's done. So the other thing is tomorrow, Vlad will go through the list of donors. And as I said, we're going to pick somebody at random who donated $5 or more, $5 equivalent. And I am going to send them this authentic Ukrainian military patch that Vlad bought at a military surplus type store, as best as I understand it, in Ukraine. It's one of the real patches. They wear it today. It's got the little Velcro on the back. It's one of the patches that I'm putting it on my vaccine arm. Maybe not push it there. One of the patches they wear like this on their arms, and it's real. It's a real current patch, which is nice. And wherever you are in the world, I'll just mail it because at least it can fit in an envelope. Anyway, all right, on with the news. But thank you for that, guys. I just very excited we were able to help out. That was a really good amount of money. So the first thing I wanted to show you was kind of a melancholy, but it's funny. I thought of it as being a positive thing. Now that I'm showing you, I realize it's sad, but I wanted to start with kind of like I said, what I consider a little more positive. Hold on. This woman in Vinnytsia, all the way over here, relatively west. I mean, I don't know if Ukraine calls that center, but relatively west. Again, the fighting is happening here. So this is the town that the Russians hit with the missiles last week, where the little girl, the little 4-year-old girl that had Down syndrome was. And remember, she was killed by the Russian missiles. Well, this woman in the town the Russians had blew up her house. Her house was gone. And unrelated to the little girl, I was just explaining what town it was. This woman went ahead with her wedding, even though it was right after the bombing. Thank you, Netlin. And I just want to show you one of her wedding pictures that was just kind of amazing. I'll show you guys next. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's also just, I don't know about awful, whatever you want to call it. Oh, sorry. Boy, we really do have the Russians are here. Goodbye, Russian troll. How's your submarine doing? Oops. There we go. So you guys, I'm trying to get the reflection off. That's good enough. But look at that, just in the middle of the destruction, and just the beautiful picture. I just want to zoom in a little because just the picture of her. I mean, it's a gorgeous photo. Kind of wild for a wedding photo. But what do? Just stunning, but stunning too. It's funny. Like I said, I was thinking of it as positive when I decided to start with it, but I guess I consider it a little more hopeful than sad, right? At least, but it is haunting though. Yeah, it's haunting too. That's right, Lisa. Very much so. Hold on. Oh, the submarine. I was making a joke about the Moskva, the ship that the Ukrainians sank, because we had a Russian troll. We had a Russian troll that was complaining and going, "It's not true. It's false." Loser. So other news. This one's interesting. Gazprom, which is the Russian natural gas company. These are the folks that shut off the gas to Germany for the next 10 days, 10 days. Maybe we're in day 2 or 3 at this point, and claimed that it was regularly scheduled maintenance. I think there is maintenance that was required on the pipeline, but I think the Russians decided to do it now because they're in a all-out pressure campaign against the Germans. That's my take. Listen to this, which backs up what I'm saying. Russia's Gazprom has told customers in Europe it cannot guarantee gas supplies because of extraordinary circumstances, according to a letter seen by Reuters. Thank you, Netlin. Upping the ante in an economic tit-for-tat with the West over Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. The Russian company claimed a force majeure, which is French, but it's also a legal term used internationally that means an act of God. And a lot of contracts have that saying, of course, we will, abide by the contract unless there's a force majeure. There's an earthquake, a hurricane, right? A Russian missile blows up our office, right? Well, to me, this is the Russians putting more pressure on the Germans. That's all that is. That is telling the Germans that You thought it was going to be 10 days. It's not going to be 10 days. Maybe it'll be a month. Maybe it'll be 3 months. Maybe we'll cut you off all winter, right? The problem is, well, I mean, Yuri's saying they have to substantiate it. I'm sure they do, but how are you going to force Russia to turn the gas back on, right? I mean, if they simply say, thank you, Iggy, for the glasses. If they simply say, we're not going to do it, right? I mean, that's my concern. Then what happens? What is interesting, not interesting, I think they're putting pressure on the Germans. I think, unfortunately, the Germans, Germans, I mean Scholz and Macron in France. I don't mean the people, obviously. I like the Germans, but, that whole craziness. So I think what's going on is, unfortunately, Scholz in Germany showed that he's not quite into this war, okay? A lot of the promises weren't kept. I'm not even going to go through it all again. Not quite into it. Putin got the message. Putin knows that at this point, I think Scholz is the weakest link in Europe, okay? Or in NATO overall. He's the weakest link here. And the Russians are going to freak him out as much as they can to try to get him to cave on the sanctions. And if anything, what's interesting is this also says that the sanctions are working, I think. But it's not just sanctions. The other issue is that they don't want the Ukrainians getting weapons. They want the Germans to do whatever they can to stop. Now, mind you, the Germans haven't been giving a ton of weapons anyway, but I think that's part of it too. This second story is really interesting too. Hang on, more chamomile. The town of Nova Kakhovka, and I Googled where it is. Hang on. Okay, yes, Nova Kakhovka. So Nova Kakhovka is more or less right at the tip of my finger, kind of on the river here. If you were to see my map closely, you'd see it's right next to Kherson, the town, and I think it's in the region of Kherson, but it's right next to the town of Kherson, which there's been a lot of fighting going on now recently. The Russians control it. Nova Kakhovka has had a lot of it has been receiving a lot of Ukrainian artillery fire in the last week. The Ukrainians hit it twice last week. They hit ammunition depots. I don't recall exactly. I want to say they might have hit a Russian military base there as well. But twice they blew the place up, okay? They did it again. Was it today? It probably was overnight, I'm guessing. Listen to this. Ukraine's armed forces hit 2 Russian military warehouses in Kherson Oblast. The spokesperson for the Ukrainian Military Southern Command confirmed that Ukraine successfully targeted Russian ammunition depots in Nova Kakhovka as well as in another district near Kherson. I'm not sure what's going on with that, but it's interesting to me. The problem is this gets into some real detail of military stuff and also knowing Ukraine. I don't know. I am suspicious that something with that town is key for the Ukrainians trying to take over the region again, because obviously it's key or they wouldn't hit it 3 times. But I'm not convinced that they've been missing something. I think there's a lot of stuff to hit there. And we know the Ukrainians seem to be planning a big counteroffensive because they've even told people to get a weekend ago. They told people to get out of the town. They told their own people out of the region. They said, flee the region if you can. They did blow up munitions, but the third time is very interesting to me. British intelligence says that Russia's Wagner Group, or Wagner Group, however it's pronounced, which is the mercenary group run by a Russian oligarch who's one of the corrupt Putin-loving, in Putin's pocket, billionaires. Russia's Wagner Group is lowering its recruitment standards and incurring heavy casualties, which is great. These guys, as quoted by, I think it was General Hertling, the former or U.S. retired general who I like a lot on TV, and he called them basically a bunch of murderers. These guys are as bad as they get. They've done a lot of the crimes in Syria, and they're the kind of guys you get when you want war crimes, basically. According to the latest UK Defense Ministry intelligence update, Russian mercenary group Wagner is hiring convicts and formally blacklisted individuals, potentially impacting its effectiveness and value as a prop to the regular Russian forces. The group has almost certainly played a central role in capturing the cities of Popasna and Lysychansk in Luhansk. Lysychansk is right across the border from Severodonetsk, which is that town we were talking about for about a month, eastern Ukraine. France 24, which is a respectable French news outlet, says the president of the Ukrainian Nuclear Agency, this was something folks brought up yesterday, so I decided to do a little reading on it and just give you something more official. The president of the Ukrainian Nuclear Agency said on Friday that Russian forces are using the Zaporizhia nuclear power plant in southern Ukraine as a base for storing and launching weapons. Some 500 Russian soldiers control the plant. And one of you raised, or a couple of you raised the point, which was a very good point, that they are firing from the plant so that the Ukrainians can't fire back. And they're firing missiles, for example, which was specifically mentioned in one of the articles I saw. And you can't fire back to blow up the missile battery if it's next to a nuclear plant. Zaporizhia, just to remind you, Zaporizhia is over here. The Zaporizhia region is here. I don't know exactly where the nuclear plant is. I know it's not in the town of Zaporizhia. It's nearby. I think it's somewhere in this circle. Not exactly sure, but I know it's around here. And again, occupied by the Russians. Oh, this was crazy. Okay, this was, funny, but not funny. I don't know what to, again, when talking about the Russian stuff, it's so bizarre because you don't quite know what to call this stuff. So hang on a sec. As always, I'm adjusting the heat in my apartment. I actually turned it down a little bit because I'm going back and forth from being a little warm to being cold. You know, my Moderna booster. A Russian news show, and I don't even want to tell you too much so I ruin it. A Russian news show on the state-run news the other night does a news segment about how the unexpected benefits of your son dying in Ukraine in the war. And they showed a family, and they're I just have to show you this. It's crazy. The one thing I'll tell you is somebody, a native Russian speaker, weighed in on the comments on TikTok where I posted it and said that the reporter actually sounds like he's being sarcastic at the end, meaning like he's not really thrilled with the story. Basically that he understands that it's a story saying like, hey, there's a good side to losing your son. Get a car. Let me show you this. And it's short enough that I'm probably going to show you guys. I'll show you. It's not very long. I'll show each of you. Hold on, I'll tell you, because it goes really fast. It actually goes quite fast with the subtitles. It basically, oops, hold on. Come on, you. Oh, hold on. I hate my iPhone when it does it. It starts by saying, like his grandfathers and great-grandfathers, he fought against the fascism. You'll get it next. It's sick. Oh God. It's just, it is almost like a Saturday Night Live, like this wonderful American comedy show, fake commercials. So again, we'll start with them talking about the,
Отец говорит, что Алексей мечтал именно о белой, о такой. Выезжает в первый раз на кладбище.
Is this sick? It's funny. I'm almost a little divided on it, but not totally. Is it a little sick? It's well, even, and again, it's possible that the announcer is even saying, like the dad saying, oh, white was his favorite color. He always wanted a car like this. And you're kind of like, and he's never going to get it, but dad gets it instead. And especially at the end saying, and their first trip was to the cemetery. It's almost like, it really is like creepy satire, you know? Anyway, thank you, Grandma. It's sick. I mean, it's well, and mind you, absolutely, absolutely, the Russian government's intent on showing this is to say, hey, not so bad. We treat you well, right? I mean, oof. Hello, Ukraine. Thank you for joining us today on TikTok. It does seem like satire. It's not satire. It's not satire. It's real. Hang on a sec. Page 3. This is interesting too. Let me get my glasses. This is Ukrainian intelligence, as I've mentioned to you guys before, regularly releases electronic intercepts where they hear Russian soldiers calling family back home. They release the audio, and then this wonderful guy, Dmitry, his Twitter handle is at the bottom of what I'm going to read. I can show it to you real quick when I'm done. Translates them online. I think he does it for free. He ought to be paid, but it's really pretty amazing. So listen to this. This is a Russian soldier talking to his grandmother, okay? Let me see here. This is grandma. Right, grandma. Grandma. Are you in Izium? He says, near Izium, in a forest. We're taking a forest. She says, yes. He says, yes, I'm not going there anymore. She goes, why? He says, Granny, we have 26 people left from our company. She says, how many did you have? Meaning originally. He says, nearly 90. 26 are left of the 90. I won't be signing any more contracts, he says, because there isn't a draft right now. Thank you, Dirk, for the hat. Because there isn't a draft. People sign, I don't know if everybody does, but a number of these people come in and sign contracts, right? And the contract is to be in the military a set period of time. Listen to this. She says, he goes, I won't be signing any more contracts. She goes, oh, to hell with it. Did you sign a contract for a year? He says, why a year? I think meaning like a year. Are you crazy? For 3 months, Granny, I have 1.5 months left. Somebody pointed out on, I think, TikTok or YouTube when I posted this, they're signing guys for 3 month contracts. That means they thought this wasn't going to last long. Why would you sign somebody for 3 months? That's insane. I mean, that's just insane. And it sounds just that, like they thought it was going to be over soon. He goes, 3 months, Granny. I have 1.5 months left. Spetsnaz, one word, Spetsnaz. Spetsnaz are all I know them as are the sort of special super duper military guys. I'm not sure. Would we compare them to like the Green Berets or the, what did we call the team that went in to kill bin Laden? What do we call them? Spetsnaz. I know you guys are a little behind me, but Russian SAS, you're saying? Yeah, I know it's special forces, but I'm just curious what the comparison is. Navy SEALs, special forces, exactly. It's SEAL Team 6, exactly. It's that kind of the good guys, okay? Listen to this. Spetsnaz, he goes, Spetsnaz. One word, Spetsnaz. They entered and ... We've been there for 2 days and nights. The Spetsnaz enters, gets their ass kicked in 1 hour and ran away. So basically saying he and the rest of the guys had been there for days. The Spetsnaz guys came there for an hour, got blown up, and got the hell out of there and left them. That's Spetsnaz for you. I don't want to be infantry anymore. I'm sick of it. Psyche is being broken. My psyche is being broken, meaning psychologically this is damaging me. Even at night, I'm dreaming of these corpses. F it, F-U-C-K. F it. We've been effed over with the money by the state. Granny then says that lawyer looked at your contracts. She had a lawyer look at the contracts to try to see if he could break it, right? That lawyer looked at your contracts and said, this is toilet paper. Why did they give them contracts for 2007? What kind of paperwork is this? Are these contracts? These are not contracts. This is crap, the lawyer said. So they were using contracts written in 2007 for these guys. Anyway, again, it's so interesting to get, it's coming from the Ukrainians. Sure, it could be faked. I don't think all of these are faked. I mean, the audio's out there. They could be. I don't think they are. And also, it depends who it's coming from, because my suspicion is I'm not even sure the Ukrainians are the ones intercepting this. This could be us intercepting it, for that matter. Now that's interesting. Nathan says a 3-month contract screams to me, you aren't coming back. Oh, that's kind of scary. Yeah. No car for grandma. Exactly. Washington Post. Crowds gathered for the 4-year-old girl's funeral. Remember, I was talking about Vinnytsia, where the woman had her wedding taken. That's also the town where the poor 4-year-old girl got killed. I forgot to mention, I was showing you on the map how far west Vinnytsia is, just to keep reminding you of this. Vinnytsia is all the way over here, okay? The fighting is happening over here. The Russians shot a slew of missiles at a town here that has nothing to do with the war and killed a bunch of innocent people. This was a terror attack. They intentionally wanted to hit a city that had nothing to do with the war, that was hundreds of miles away from the war, and therefore wouldn't expect to be hit, and hit them so that everybody in the country thinks, oh my God, I could be next. It was terror, pure and simple. So crowds gathered for the 4-year-old's funeral. Thank you, Kanausi. Liza Dmitrieva, little girl with Down syndrome killed in a Russian missile strike last week in Vinnytsia, was buried Sunday with a priest pledging that evil cannot win. Photos taken after the attack showed her pink stroller knocked to the ground, its fabric torn. The strike on the city killed 23 people. Bloomberg reports today that Putin says the sanctions are causing colossal tech woes for Russia, which is interesting. Russia faces colossal challenges in high technology from international sanctions, but won't simply give up or allow its economy to fall back by decades, Putin told officials during a video conference on strategic development goals. Instead, Moscow will intensively seek solutions by relying on the country's own technological resources and the work of domestic innovative companies, the Russian president said, even as he chided the state-run Rostec Corporation for failing to meet previous targets for the development of internet technology. So Putin thinks they're going to use their own domestic industry to make high-quality Taiwanese semiconductor chips. It's like, okie dokie. And even if they try to get them from China, China doesn't make chips nearly as good as Taiwan does. So they're a cheap replacement, basically. And again, we don't even know if China's doing it. Hang on, a little more chamomile. One moment. Perfect temperature. This was good too. The CEO of the company that makes the Bayraktar drone. Remember the drone, the song Bayraktar, the song, but also the drone, the Turkish drone that Ukrainians used to really, cause a lot of damage among the Russians. The CEO was being interviewed on CNN International today, and said that he was asked, "Would you ever consider? Have you sold the drones to Russia, and would you sell the drones to Russia?" He said, "Never." Now, what cracked me up, because I didn't know this, the CEO of the company is named Haluk Bayraktar. Is that too funny? And then I Googled it to make sure. His name is Haluk Bayraktar. He named the drone after himself. Which anyway, I thought it was kind of funny. President Zelensky, this is kind of an interesting story. It's been in the news a lot. But I figured I'd look into it and see what was going on. President Zelensky submitted to the parliament a resolution to dismiss Ivan Bakanov from the position of head of the State Security Service of Ukraine, called the SBU. The parliament has to consider the dismissal, and Zelensky already suspended the guy. Basically, the guy himself is not being accused of being a traitor, but the Ukrainian security services had something like, they believe, hundreds of traitors inside that were actually working for the Russians. And this is a known problem, or whatever you want to call it, on the Russian and Ukrainian side. The Russians, remember, Putin fired or arrested a bunch of people at the beginning of the war inside his security services. And finally, they've had so many, and this is why the guy's getting fired, because they found so many of these people, and the fact that he didn't find them earlier, Zelensky's not happy. There's some legislation being considered in other news. God, the Russians. So the Russians already have legislation that, like, you can't promote homosexuality. And they consider that being, you can't say anything in writing or spoken that makes it sound like being gay is okay, that you think that. So they've gone after radio stations, they've gone after, people writing books, everything, okay? Well, they felt that the film industry wasn't sufficiently covered by the existing law. So they're now proposing legislation, which I'm sure will pass because Russia's a pretty homophobic country, that and Putin's been using the gay issue and the trans issue as part of his battle against the West to convince Russians that, the West is all a bunch of hedonists and, perverts, etc. And these aren't the kind of people you want to be like. Okay. So hang on a sec. Adjusting this. There we go. So I read the legislation. I got the legislation. You can translate it in Google Translate, which was pretty cool. So I read the legislation, and it says that you can't promote being gay as normal. Thank you, Marcy. And you can't even promote. You cannot normalize couples not having children. So if your movie somehow shows couples not having children and somehow, shows them happy and well-adjusted, that will be illegal too. The reason for this cracked me up. Well, first he says that when the economy is bad, people are more likely to turn gay. That was the first one because I was like, really? Like, how's that? Like, oh, inflation, it's soaring. Look out. Here come the gays. I mean, right? That one's insane. The second thing they claimed was, of course, the threat to children because the gays want to go after your kids. Of course, big surprise. And the other one, which always gets me, and the Russians have talked about this a lot before, is demography. That if everybody turns gay, then we won't have any more children because gay people can't get pregnant. Well, they can't get each other pregnant at least. And therefore, all of Russian society will go away. Now, what always gets me with this argument is I think that argument is made by bisexuals. And I have said this from the beginning. And I've said this for 20, 30 years that I've worked on gay rights issues, because they always would say this in the US too. You're trying to get our children and turn them gay. And one guy, actually, there's a wonderful story that synthesizes my argument here. Hannity and Colmes, which was a TV show here in the States on Fox News, the crazy right-wing Fox News. And Hannity and Colmes had Sean Hannity, who is a Trumper, super right-wing, nonstop talker Trumper, and a liberal who was very weak. And the two of them would have guests, but the liberal was always just too weak and Hannity was overbearing, right? They get a conservative guest on. I forget who the guy was, but he's the head of some big family values organization, i.e. Religious right? The religious right-wingers. The guy's on there and he starts talking about this very fact, like they're gonna convince everybody to become gay, blah, blah, blah. And the liberal, to his credit, says to the guy, now, come on, that's crazy. You're saying that people just become gay? Like that somebody who's straight could just become gay? And he says, yeah. And he kind of pushed the guy and he goes, wait, so you're saying the only reason you're not gay is because, like, you haven't been pushed to be gay, but you could be gay if society said it was okay? And he said, look, I admit I could go that way. And he starts saying this, and Hannity jumps in and goes, whoa. Because of course it's totally it's just crazy. This guy, my definition would be bisexual. It wasn't James Dobson. I wish it was. I would say bisexual. People who think that you can become gay simply by, everybody says it's okay now, so you'll become gay. That's because you already were gay or you already were bisexual. You were one or the other, if that's what can happen. But there ain't no amount of societal, what am I looking for? Encouragement that could make me date a woman. It just can't happen. Anyway, this is something I've always said. So I love when I see people like this who say this and that say basically it's a choice, and it's only a choice if you're bisexual because you're choosing to act on the impulses you already have. So it just cracks me up. Anyway, it made me laugh. So Belarus, the Belarusians. Belarus is, I know, more toasters. Oh, that's a good old inside joke. Belarus, country up here, right north, northwest of Ukraine, led by a dictatorship, Lukashenko, and he is a BFF, best friend of Vladimir Putin, supporting Putin in the war, but not invading along with Putin. Thank you, Smiling's Free, for those. Not invading with Putin, though, but still horrific dictatorship. They sentenced a man to 1.5 years in prison for insulting the dictator online. Belarusian media reported that a man from the Gomel region in southeastern Belarus was sentenced to 1.5 years in prison for insulting Belarusian dictator Lukashenko on social media. The man reportedly left a comment about Lukashenko on Telegram, which is a social media app used a lot by the Russians and the Ukrainians and I guess the Belarusians too. The report didn't specify what he actually said or whether it was public or private. The Washington Post says that Russia is sending teachers to Ukraine to control what students learn. Russia is dangling the prospect of big money and HIMARS and a lot of rocket bombs, big money for hundreds of teachers to go to occupied Ukraine. The offer gives students there a corrected education with Russia's take on Ukraine's history in the coming school year. I got news for these guys. The Ukrainians have been doing a very effective job of blowing up Russian collaborators who are basically Ukrainians who are working with the Russians inside the occupied region. So basically people who say they'll become the local mayor to work with the Russians, or they'll be the local police or whatever they are. And the Ukrainians have just been blowing these people up. I would not want to be a Russian teacher. Even worse, a Russian teacher coming to the occupied territories in Ukraine to convert my child to turn him into a Russian. That person, these teachers will not be there for long, is my guess. Big, big benefit. Somebody's getting a lot of, exactly. Somebody's parents are getting a car. We'll leave it at that. New York Times says, this was interesting. I had not heard about these guys before, but I thought it was worth mentioning. The New York Times says that Russia's youthful independent news network called TV Rain like the rain, rainfall, returned to screens on Monday, more than 4 months after it stopped operating in Moscow, shortly after the invasion of Ukraine. The network is broadcasting from its new studio in Riga, Latvia. And I think they said they're also going to be broadcasting from Berlin and Paris and some other cities as well. It's available to watch on YouTube, which hasn't been blocked in Russia. More than 36,000 watched the evening news show on Monday evening. Obviously, it's just getting started again. And they're launching a mobile app. Finally, and this I thought was a little weird, but H&M, right, the big shopping store from Sweden, H&M, announced it is leaving Russia, but will temporarily reopen its shops there to sell off its remaining stock of clothing. I was like, really? Really? H&M said it was impossible to continue its business in Russia. Yet H&M managed to eke out a little more business, didn't they? The Swedish firm suspended all sales there in March, shortly after the invasion. So I don't know. I think it's a little scummy personally, but whatever. Anyway, so that's what I got for the news. More tea for me. I'm hanging in there, still feeling a bit crappy from my I can tell because my mind's going a little. That shot, definitely. I wish I could take real medicine, not the acetaminophen, but what do you do? I don't want to diminish my immune response, but man, woo. I'd read about the Greeks being bad. Raggedy Man Rusty says Greek tankers are carrying record levels of Russian seaborne oil cargoes to China and India. Greek owners control nearly a third of the global tanker fleet, moved about half of Russia's crude volumes. That's bad. I saw Chris is bringing up the point of Russia suing Google. Russia has hit Google with another fine for not removing from YouTube information. Sasha's doing well. She's terrified because we have storms tonight, so she's in the bathroom shaking. What do? I gave her extra amount of the trazodone today. Russia hit Google with, I think it was like a 300 million euro fine. It's $300 million fine. It's a lot for leaving information that violates Russia's, fake news law on YouTube. Well, basically, Russia has been going after YouTube and Wikipedia, not Wikipedia and YouTube, to get them to take down any news critical of Russia. So they threatened Wikipedia and told them they had to take down the page dealing with the invasion because it called it a war and all this kind of stuff, right? Thank you, Alicia. So very interesting, but so they hit YouTube with Google with a big fine today. I don't know how it makes any different. I mean, I just don't know how it makes any difference. How reliable is this information that Russia hit Google with a $300 million fine? Oh, I don't know. Why don't you check any newspaper in the entire world? That's how reliable the information is. You get one more chance before the mods are going to ban you to prove you're not a troll, because that was an awful. By the way, that's the kind of stuff I was telling you guys what the Russians do. This guy probably has been given a Russian intermediary. They hire a lot of people in developing countries. And I told you, they give them things they're supposed to say. And one of them is always questioning, what's the source? I don't believe that. That can't be true. But the problem is these guys always come in and do it at the wrong time. So I'm talking about a fine that the Russians have hit Google with, like the most easily verifiable fact on the planet, right? Because it's something Russia's boasting about. And he puts up, how do you know this is true? Because he pulled the talking point. I mean, they're so bad at, they're good at it in a way, because obviously the Russians have caused a lot of problems. Prove it then. Boris, you need to check your own government, because it's your own government claiming it. Look, then he posted, prove it. Oh my God. And I will guarantee you that was the second thing on his fact sheet. Then say, prove it. Yeah, loser, as Johnny just said, loser, you're a loser. Google it. Actually, Google it. That's funny. They're so bad at this. Well, by the way, I will say this, because I always tell the mods, since I've been moderating since 1998 was the first time I moderated a community online. I always say, when they smell like a troll, first of all, they usually are a troll when they smell like a troll. Thank you, Real Wolf, for the origami. Who was at Stylecat as well. If they smell like a troll, if they smell like a Russian or whatever, Russian there to disrupt, I always say give them like one or two more comments if you're not 100% sure, because they will prove themselves in the next two comments. And thank you, Louis, for the garland. And like this guy did, the next two comments were over the top. over the top. They always, anyway, it cracks me up because they're so bad at this. Oh my. Hey, thanks for the hanging lights. Let me see if I've got a question here from you guys on my Q&A. Remember, if you go to my Q&A and my TikTok profile, you'll find something that says Q&A, and in it you could put, is Zelensky's, that's a good question. Is Zelensky's state security reliable? I don't know. That's a good question. Thank you, Smiling, for the hat. I do know, for example, I think one of the reasons that they were getting really suspicious about who was inside, what kind of Russians were working inside the Ukrainian government, was a bridge. And I'm going to guess it was a bridge from Crimea to Ukraine. I'm going to guess it was the bridge up here. I'm pretty sure it was. That this bridge was supposed to be, thank you, Flower Lady, for those, was supposed to be blown up at the beginning of the war, and it wasn't. And it allowed the Russians to send reinforcements across and take this region. And apparently, all I know is the article I was reading suggested that the reason the bridge didn't get blown up was because whoever was working internally, botched the messaging on purpose or whatever it was. But very interesting. Yeah. Thank you, Vernon, for the hat. but I couldn't tell you overall about the security services. I don't know. Oh yeah, I did. I think I did talk about this guy yesterday. I'll mention it again. I know I could try ginger tea. I did make ginger tea last week, but it was bothering my stomach a little bit. So I kind of went light on the ginger tea. Chamomile chamomile is an old time European remedy as well. I mean, again, the Greeks swear by chamomile. If you're ever not feeling well, make the chamomile. Mom's and yaya, grandma's thing. That's what I'm assuming. It's the bridge in Kherson. That's what I'm assuming. Yeah. My sister got me this mug off Amazon. Actually, I list where to get the mug. If you go to my profile on TikTok, which actually is this link for the YouTubers, may not be fun copying that, but on TikTok, if you go to my profile, you'll see a web link that says beacons.ai. If you click through and scroll down, you'll see it mention a t-shirt and a coffee mug. It's this coffee mug and it's this t-shirt, the Ukraine flag shirt. They are not mine. I did put my affiliate link, so I may get a couple bucks for each one or $1 for each one you buy or something. But you can get them there if you want. Because again, I like it. And what's nice about it, my sister got it for me. It's got, thank you, by the way. That was that Azamak, I think, who just got me that? Yep, Azamak for the cap. It's nice because it's got it on both sides. So it's kind of nice because, when you're drinking, other people can see it. It's like a nice little, nice little way to promote Ukraine. I did see this. I didn't see how many. Chris Thane is saying, did you see Russia's trying to get each province to sign 1,000 soldiers each with bonuses and higher pay? I did see that. I didn't see how many. Thank you, Ricky Ticky. I didn't see how many each province was required to get. But no, they're desperate. The Russians are desperate to get new people to sign up. I mean, new soldiers. They are. Zelensky fired 2 generals over it and stripped them of their rank. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, that's interesting. Can newspapers hang on. Amazon says check my mailbox. Okay, I'll go downstairs afterwards and check. It's got to be downstairs. Yep. Thank you. I shall, Elise. Appreciate it. PB&J says, can newspapers and pamphlets be airdropped via drones? Thank you, Inspired. On Mariupol to keep citizens up to date and not have to rely on Russian propaganda. Not by the Ukrainians, I think. That's the problem. The airspace overall, neither of them really controls the airspace, or controls the airspace everywhere. I mean, I don't know, for example, maybe the Russians control the airspace around Mariupol, for example. I don't know. But I wondered about that from the beginning of the war, I mean, my guess is the U.S. would have planes that can go higher and we would control the airspace. Thank you, Flower Lady. Meaning we knock out all the surface-to-air missiles that are on the ground. We knock out all the radar for the surface-to-air missiles. We knock out all the airfields so they can't set up fighter jets to go after our fighter jets, right? I know I am going to do Rainbow. I am going to do merch. Syndicate's been helping me. I've just, I've been so busy. I've got to get rolling on it because I have to get rolling on it. I know. I shall. But yeah, that's a good question. Why? I'm going to guess it's because they just don't have enough control of the airspace to be able to do it, unfortunately. We already control all airspace. They fly because we let them. Okay, but then what's the deal with, I mean, I'm happy to believe you, but what's the deal with dropping leaflets and stuff? Have you heard Mara's political founder? Have the Ukrainians been dropping leaflets? Thank you, Netlin. See, that's the thing. What I had read, what Blake is saying is that no airspace is 100% dominated, that it's still, still a little iffy. Thank you, Netlin, for that. And Willow for the fireworks. Mariupol is too dangerous. You'll see Russians everywhere. Okay. There's no update on the Russia claimed that they destroyed 1 or 2 of the HIMARS, which are the really good rocket systems that we sent over that now, along with the British rocket systems, are letting the Ukrainians really go nuts and blow up well, the Ukrainians are doing it too because they know what they're doing. Of course, they get credit. But to really blow up the Russian ammunitions, the Russians claimed they blew up 2 of them several days ago, but there was no proof. And I think somebody even debunked it. I think. Thank you, Grandma, for that. I think somebody debunked it because the Russians claimed it had. They claimed like they screwed up the way they even described it. They claimed, oh, we blew up the weapon and the vehicle that supplies it, or some kind of crazy thing. And the HIMARS is its own vehicle. That was the one thing I saw with some of the military guys on Twitter saying, even the way the Russians described it isn't a HIMARS, right? So doubtful. I think it's doubtful. How's it going? Going well, Slender Monk. Thanks for asking. How you doing? They've been using small drone. Chris says they've been using small drones to drop leaflets to the Russian troops since the beginning, and grenades. This is true. They've been using small drones to drop grenades as well. They had sort of the whole, a little scary actually in terms of terrorism. They've had the whole like construct online. I may have to, let me change my curtains a little bit because I think it's interfering with, it's going to interfere with the camera in a second. Oops. It got like, there we go. Oops. It got incredibly sunny out there. Oops. It got like super sunny outside, which is great. Hold on, I'm going to look a second because my poor little dog is freaking out in the bathroom. But yeah, chance of rain at 8, and that's it. That's good. Okay, good. Well, after this, maybe I'll take her outside and she'll feel a little better. Woo! Just got home, so you can check it. Good. Check on the news. Always good. Significant. I saw this too. This is interesting. Correct. What Deemer is saying. Oh, Deemer, I don't recognize you. You maybe you're new. Welcome. Deemer's saying a significant number of Russian warships were redeployed from Sevastopol in occupied Crimea to Russian ports of Novorossiysk. That's according. Yes. I saw the same thing reported in a couple different places. So Sevastopol is down here. I'll go up here. It's down here. This is Crimea. It's the province that the Russians stole in 2014 and are still occupying. It's Ukrainian. The Russians used to have a big part of their fleet here. They've now moved it over to Russia. I don't know exactly whether it's over here or where, but it's probably somewhere over here. This blue just means, it doesn't mean sea. Russia's over here, actually. But they've moved it because the Ukrainians have been doing such a good job. I'm going to guess. Actually, somebody asked me this today, and my guess was, and this probably answers the question. My guess was they said, can you use the HIMARS, which are these long-range artillery? We only provided weapons. We only provided shells that go 43 miles, but the really good shells, thank you, Al, the really good shells can go 200 miles, 186 miles, actually. But somebody asked today, can you use a HIMARS to attack a ship? And my response was, I'm assuming you can if the ship is in port. So if the ship isn't moving. My guess is that's why they moved the ships, because they're afraid of the HIMARS hitting the ships. Am I correct? You military folks out there? Is Deemer a regular? I just don't remember that name. Deemer Garufi. That name doesn't ring a bell. It's so funny. I would have thought I'd remember it. I mean, so different. I shouldn't say funny. It may be your real name, but it's an interesting name. So that is it. So they could use the HIMARS to hit the ships when they're in port because they don't move, or same thing with submarines. If you're really good, if they're not moving and they're on the surface, and they're scared. Okay. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. Wow. But yeah, that's more good news. It's also more reason why we've got to provide the Ukraine. I mean, we've got to provide the Ukrainians with the longer range weapons. It's just stupid at this point. And honestly, Germany should be the one. Germany should be the first one to be demanding that we provide the Ukrainians with longer range weapons. I mean, if I were Germany, if I were talking to Germany, I'd say, you've got two choices. I mean, sure, you could try to cave entirely and bring the whole coalition down. But currently, you're facing a winter without natural gas, which is going to be a disaster for your public and a disaster for your industry. Thank you, Stylecat, for that. Or we can all agree, and Biden, frankly, this is Biden too. This isn't just Germany. Biden, I think it's Biden who doesn't want us. I shouldn't have said Germany because this is Biden in this case. Biden does not want to give them the longer range weapons. He's afraid of angering Putin, blah, blah, blah. And you say either Germany becomes a wasteland and Europe, the economy crashes, causing a worldwide recession, including in America, or we give the Ukrainians weapons that can go 186 miles instead of 43 miles. And they could wrap this war up a lot quicker. What would you prefer? No, I'm going to keep harping on this because Biden is making a huge mistake here as far as I'm concerned. He's afraid of Putin. And again, he's got, the generals in his ear, I think, telling him that Putin's going to go crazy and use nukes and blah, blah, blah. I just don't believe it. I mean, and if that's our fear, then we might as well hand the guy the entire planet. Thanks, Alicia. If we're so terrified of Putin and so sure that if Putin doesn't get his way, he's going to nuke the planet, then I guess we've got to give him everything, right? If he wants the Baltic states, give him the Baltic states. This is the argument I've made from the beginning, right? I mean, if he's going to nuke everything, isn't it better to betray Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania than nuke the whole world? I mean, this is the logic. Hell, let's give him New York City, right? Well, Putin wants New York. He wants Alaska. It's better than blowing up the whole world in a nuclear catastrophe, right? I mean, the logic is, not to mention, use of nuclear weapons means Russia blows up too. So I don't even understand the logical argument people make as far as like, oh, Russia's going to nuke us. No, they're not. It's just, ugh. He doesn't. No, I will say this with Biden. Enrique is saying Biden and Saudi Arabia. I don't necessarily have a problem with Biden, sucking up to Mohammed bin Salman. I mean, look, the man's a mass murderer. I mean, he's a murderer. I agree fully. I would have come down on him like a ton of bricks right after Khashoggi was killed. Right now, we need Saudi Arabia. And we are talking about, almost a world war we're having at the moment. Quasi. It's a quasi world war, I would say. Not quite, quasi. And we are talking about a massive global recession that's coming as a result of this stuff. We need the Saudis' help. I just don't. Sometimes you just don't have a choice but to deal with bad people in politics. I just, I hate it, but, that's a different question. His words were weak and didn't seem to obtain anything. That's a different question. Well, hell, I was actually talking to my mom about this. My mom is funny. 92, very good barometer of what's going on in politics. I love Mom's opinion. She called it. She goes, Biden is just screwing up. Okay, what happened? She's talking about Saudi. She wants to know my opinion on the handshake and all of that. And it didn't hit me until today. But, at first I was defending Biden because he and Mohammed bin Salman, when they, instead of shaking hands, we talked about this the other day, right? They did this. All of Biden's staff, when they met the Saudi Arabian staff, did this too. That means it was agreed to it was agreed that that's the way they would shake without shaking, which says to me it was a COVID thing. Now, two problems. One, Biden, when he was in Israel, he was shaking hands. So if you're shaking hands in Israel, don't tell me it's a COVID thing when you're in Saudi Arabia. That's BS, right? Second problem, I guarantee you, I don't think I've said this to you guys before. Someone on Biden's staff must have told Biden, I guarantee you, someone told Biden and said, look, you want to do this. It's called a fist bump because you bump the fist. This is your fist, poignet in French, right? The fist. The problem is, guess what else? It's not just called a fist bump. It's also called a terrorist fist bump. Fox News, our crazy right-wing news source here, when Obama, I forgot who Obama met. And Obama being cool basketball guy, right? Sports guy. Obama did this with somebody. And Fox News, I don't know how they proved this, but they proved for their viewers that it was actually a secret terrorist handshake Obama was doing, because Obama, you know, black guy, terrorist, goes together, and that Obama was doing a secret terrorist fist bump. Now, as Biden's guy, the first thing I'm going to say is, you want to do a fist bump? First problem, we had this problem with Obama, okay? That Fox News went crazy. And it was a horrible, I mean, it was stupid, but it still blew up. Do you really want to do that again? They're going to do something. Secondly, when you do this, it's just like going, hey, it looks like you're his best friend. Why would you I mean, it's better to shake his hand and be serious like you would with Putin, but don't go, hey. No, Biden, I am convinced at this point, this whole problem is Biden. That's my I think all of these problems we point to, I think his staff isn't stupid. I'm starting to think his staff knows what's going on. They're telling Biden, and Biden is too smart to be disturbed, and therefore says, no, we're going to do it. And then it blows up. I don't care if it blows up. And then it blows up, and he apologizes. You know, he hasn't apologized yet. I'll give him credit for that. But this guy drives me crazy. Yeah, you and me, Thomas Walsh. I don't think Biden will be reelected in 2024. I think it will be another Democrat, maybe somebody like Gavin Newsom or Senator Chris Murphy. I don't think it will be VP Harris, as her popularity has been low lately. Just what I'm thinking. I like Biden, but I 100% agree with what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, let's see. He may also be screwing the pooch for any Democrat running for the next 8 years. So far, he's going to screw us with Congress in November, or screw Democrats, I'll say. So let me go back and see David. Where are you, David? And he's going to screw us for the presidential as well. Oh, there's David. I'm sorry, David. David Keller, realtor. Can we recharacterize the HIMARS to a 40-mile, 45-mile, 50-mile and slowly increase the distance every week? That's right. Like, what do you mean? It's always been 50 miles. Now, actually, interestingly, I know you said that jokingly, but the experts say that the 43-mile, I think it's like 70 kilometers, something like that. The 43-mile is actually a conservative estimate. I don't know if it's 50 or 60 miles it can go, but thank you, sweet critter, for that. It actually can go farther than the 43, but they clearly need the longer one. I mean, like I said, the Biden, even this, and this is the problem though, even this to me doesn't feel like Biden being smart. It feels like Biden being scared. And that's what scares me with him. I don't know if he is scared, but he portrays fear. He portrays weakness. Again, I hate to say this because people get pissed at me, especially, oh my God, every time I say this on Twitter, I lose like 100 followers. They get so upset. But, I have to tell you. So somebody unfollowed me on YouTube yesterday and left a note underneath one of the things that he really likes my content, but he was unfollowing me when I said I was getting a COVID booster, because anybody who would get a COVID booster, he just can't follow. I was like, dude, you are so effed up. Thank you, Netlin, for that. I did. I responded to him and I was not nice. I was like, are you freaking kidding me? You're going to unfollow people on YouTube who you like because they got a COVID booster and it's the sign of he didn't say sign of the devil, but you know what I mean? Those people it is a cult. It's an absolute cult. I mean, I think it's crazy enough to say you don't believe the science. That's just insane. But also to be like, I'm not going to, like Donald Trump, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. When Donald Trump said that to Mike Pence over the insurrection, when Pence wouldn't help him steal the election, and Pence said, I'm not going to be your friend anymore, or I won't be your friend anymore. It was a threat. Like literally, hold on, I'm going to pull up the quote. It was such a bizarre quote. Hold on. I'm going to get the exact one here. Be your friend anymore. There we go. Yep. What was this in the Wall Street? What was it? The Wall Street Journal? The Wall Street Journal. According to a report from the Wall Street Journal. Oh, thank you for that, L. According to a report from the Wall Street Journal, Pence and President Trump met on Wednesday morning. This is early January because this report's from January 8th. met on Wednesday morning before Trump left to whip up his supporters into a violent rage. Oh, this is the Wednesday morning of the insurrection. Okay. Trump meets with Pence. The report states that Pence informed Trump once again that he did not have the power that Pence did not have the power to toss aside the Electoral College votes. In other words, to toss aside the election. And even if he did have that power, he wouldn't even use it, as it would set a terrible precedent. That frankness is said to have infuriated Trump, who reportedly told Pence, one of his most obedient enablers over the past 4 years, "I don't want to be your friend. I want you to be, I want you to, oh, I don't want to be your friend." I want you to, oh, I see. I don't want to be your friend. I want you to be the vice president. Okay, I see. So it was a little bit different. It was, I don't want to be your friend. I want you to be the vice president. Who knows? Whatever. It makes me laugh. So childish, so dangerous. What else we got here? Okay, yes. So David's I got. Sorry, David, for that. Thank you, people on our mods, etc., for finding that I'd missed David. We're getting awfully close here. 5 more minutes, folks. Thank you, Rainbow. Especially today, since I'm starting to feel garbagey. Well, it's saying the rain is gone. This is good. Well, I can rescue my dog once we're done and take her. We're not going to do a big walk, but I can go downstairs, take her outside, and then we'll check the mail. Sorry, let me pull up questions again. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that was great. You may have seen the same article I saw. Was this Blake? Blake says, I saw an article on Twitter today about Russia's absolute logistical nightmare. Did you talk about this? I didn't talk about the article. If it's the article I'm thinking, there was a wonderful article by a woman named Nadine Brzezinski, but she was born in Mexico. She's not, I do not believe she's a Brzezinski, related to President Carter's national security advisor, Zbigniew Brzezinski, who I worked for a year in grad school. Fascinating man. Nice man as well. But, okay, that's the one. Yeah. So, oh my God, I literally just read it before I came on. But she quotes a lot of Russians that have been talking publicly about what's going on. And just, yeah, I mean, what a disaster mind you, logistics are. How, as a military force, do you provide food and water? Do you provide new ammunition? Do you provide gasoline, diesel fuel to your troops? Because your troops are now in Ukraine. It's not like they can, and you've got thousands of them. It's not like they can go to the local restaurant. They've got to bring food with them, right? And you've got to have a supply chain of food that's going with you when you're invading a country or invading anywhere, because it's not just food. Like I said, it's gasoline. Tanks need to refuel every day or two. A tank has to refuel. So anyway, this article was talking about how bad the Russians are at this, and how a number of people have predicted that the Russians are going to hit a wall come mid or late August. They think the Russian troops are going to grind to a halt, basically, because they're going to run out of stuff, and that the Ukrainians are then going to go nuts. And meaning that's when the Ukrainians are going to hit back the hardest, but that the Ukrainians are currently like waiting to hit back hard. I don't know. It was a super good article, though. Hold on. I had retweeted it. Actually, I'm going to pull it up really quick. I can at least tell you guys, any army runs on its stomach. That's cute. We may do a watch party Thursday night for the hearing. If we do, then I won't do an update. I'll do a watch. I help your depression. Good. Hang on. I'll pull up my tweet of this woman's story, so at least I can give you. Actually, I'll do 2 things okay, actually, let's do this. It really is a good read. For the folks on my laptop, I have posted the link. If one of the mods or anybody wants to grab the link from YouTube or wherever, go over to TikTok. I don't know whether TikTok lets you post URLs in the comments. I don't know if they do. But I will tell you, the woman's last name is Brzezinski, which is not fun to spell. It's spelled the traditional way, Brzezzinski. I-N as in Nancy, S-K-I. So B-R-Z-E-Z, I-N-S-K-I. And her article is called Logistics Collapse. So actually, potentially you could type logistics collapse in Google. Let me look. Logistics collapse, put quotes around it. It's the first thing that came up for me. So I would write logistics collapse in quotes and in Google and see if you find it. It's really good. The two quotes I took from it were from her: Ukraine is likely going to end in a likely very Russian way. It's starting to look like the armies of Vladimir Putin will go home on foot, leaving a lot of equipment behind. Why? Because they are facing a logistics collapse like that seen by the armies of the Tsar in 1917 after the summer offensive. And then near her conclusion, she says, this is sort of almost the end of the story. Incidentally, expect more threats of nuclear weapons. This is my argument. Expect more threats of nuclear weapons by the Russians. Every time Russia sees more reversals, means sees more things not go their way and go kaplooey on them, the bombing of civilian areas increases. So does the talk of nuclear use. These are the threats of a government that can see the writing on the wall. That's how she ends it. It's really good. Really good. And a lot of the military folks were sharing it online, which is how I saw it. Hold on, I'm laughing. PB&J, where did you get that from? PB&J just posted, this is funny, a quote from an article: Belarusian locomotives used for transporting provisions for the Russian army have been seized in Ukraine. What were they even doing in Ukraine? That's funny. That's funny. Anyway, it's a good article. Like, if you like reading such things, I do. Thomas Walsh just ordered a Ukrainian flag to hang up in your bedroom above my bed alongside the LGBT flag and the American flag. Good for you. That's nice. Why? I don't know why I thought you were English or something. I have no idea. Who knows why? Maybe because you're on Facebook. I don't know. That's funny. Greg Monroe, and I am going to quit after this, guys. It's already 16 after. I told you I'm not feeling well after my my Moderna booster. So do you think Ukraine is pulling the Russians in so they can surround them and lower the boom? It's hard to say. I mean, I think people think the Russians are doing well in the East, and that's why the Russians are doing well. I see yours, Lori. I'll get to it next. And that's why the Russians are doing well, because they're doing well. Having said that, the Ukrainians did do that with the Russians. Remember in the north, they kind of had them come in and then they drowned them. They literally drowned them. The Ukrainians opened up a dam, drowned them, and then cut off their supplies, so they starved them as well. I mean, viciously, as I say, little honey badgers, these people. Then what the Ukrainians were doing a lot in the East were letting the Russians kind of advance. Well, letting the Russians bomb, they'd pull out of the way. Then the Russian troops would advance by foot, and the Ukrainians would then get them. So it's possible. I mean, I don't know. It's possible the Ukrainians are sort of, giving the Russians a false confidence. I don't know. Nonetheless, they need a lot more of the rockets and better rockets to fight them. Hold on, Lori. And then, guys, like I said, I'm going to have to call it quits because I can't do a recap today. Yeah, no recap today. I just don't. Again, it's not like a full flu, but right now I feel like I'm at 40% of a flu. Like, it's not, thank God it's not a flu. It's not great, though. I may still have chocolate later. That may make me feel better. If Ukraine goes on the attack in Russian-occupied areas to get back land, how can they be sure not to hurt Ukrainians that are still there? Well, that's a problem. That's a problem. Actually, I will take Sasha down. I know in Bucha, or in this area around Bucha, we know the Russians. It's not COVID. I got a COVID vaccine yesterday. That's why it's the vaccine. I got the half shot of Moderna. Yeah. We know around Bucha, where the Russians committed horrific war crimes, that a lot of people died also because it was an artillery war between the Russians and the Ukraine, a tank war too, between the Russians and the Ukrainians. I had read that at the time, that a lot of civilians died. So, that's a problem. Now, this is the reason that last week the Ukrainian government told everybody in the Kherson region, right, which is all of this down here, to get out. They told them literally leave the region. And that's so that they don't get killed. But yeah, it's a problem. It's a problem. And none, right. I mean, because you're still, well, again, it's the Russians are killing civilians on purpose. The Ukrainians would be doing it accidentally, and the Ukrainians would actually care. The Ukrainians don't. How much was raised? All right, let's call it quits, guys. We raised $4,335. Now, it may have gone up a little bit before I pulled the plug. That was the last figure Vlad gave me. So far, I would say I am a big fan of the Ghirardelli. Ghirardelli makes a really nice 72% chocolate bar. And it's just, first of all, the 72% chocolate bar with Ghirardelli, I did my research. From my research, I believe, it's the good chocolate. Like all the good stuff that's healthy in chocolate gets removed when you process it. Now, when you process it, it tastes a lot better. But nonetheless, the 72% is the real one. Some of the other ones are not. Also, for me, the 72% I find delicious. I gave it to my mom, and it was way too bitter for my mom, which I thought was interesting. But to me, even eating it alone, I can have this much, and I'm happy. I'm like, perfect, But it is very good, and it's excellent. Yeah, excellent for making desserts. I would also say, if you can access it in Europe, the Nestle's Corset, C-O-R-S-E, with a accent French, Nestle's Corset is the best chocolate bar I find for making chocolate desserts, such as flourless chocolate cakes, moelleux, anything like that requires a sugar-free chocolate bar. Although, frankly, there is some sugar in it, but it's not. I mean, it's not. You can eat it. My guess is it's probably a 72% because you can eat it. But it too, oh my God, that stuff. Oh, and again, they don't sell it here in the States. And I have this is one of those things that infuriates me with international trade. Why Nestle does not sell this chocolate bar here, which is, and again, it's a wonderful cooking chocolate. Is it 70%? Yeah. Eric knows you live in Paris. Yeah. The Nestle Corset is fantastic. I know Nestle, but you know what? Nestle is like Amazon. I know they're not good people, but they offer a service I cannot go without. Nestle's Corset is the best cooking chocolate that I know of. Amazon. I've never tried Greek chocolate. I never imagined Greek chocolate being anything special. I mean, I've had lots of Italian chocolates, It's Corset. It's C-O-R-S-E. You can, I'll pull it up because you can even see my friend Joanna's over there. So I told her, she goes, what can I get you? I said, get me the Nestle chocolate bars. I said, they're not terribly expensive. Here you go. That is what it looks like. Noir Corset. Now, I don't even know what Corset means. Eric? Que veut dire Corset? Corset, I should say. But Noir Corset. What is it? What does the Corset mean in that case? So yeah, it's Noir Corset, C-O-R-S-E. I'm sorry, I'll show you guys. It's wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. I think it's like 200 grams, which is also nice too because it's a bigger chocolate bar. The American ones are like 100 grams, which drives me nuts. It means strong, Corset. I didn't know that. Oh, that's funny. Okay. Yep, there you go. Strong. Yep, I see Bijou saying the same thing. If you can access it, it's great. Honestly, you can also eat it. It's quite good. I would cheat sometimes and eat it. But as I said, it comes in 200 grams, which is nice because a lot of the recipes are like 220 grams, something like that. At least my recipes tend to be around 220 grams maybe. So you often need like 2 of the Ghirardellis and it's expensive and blah, blah, blah. Very strong. On a Russian t-shirt. Oh, Nathan's favorite people are here. Is Nathan here today to welcome his favorite people? Oh, Nathan is there. Wee! The crazy porn spammers just arrived on on TikTok. I mean on YouTube. Google. Oh, this is funny. Google Translate translated it to corset. That's funny. THCO. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Should Ireland join NATO? I mean, I think so, sure, but I mean, I can't tell you. You know, I will say Kayabot is my favorite. Although isn't it Kayabot? I always forget my favorite artist. Probably I say he and is it Kayabot? I'm forgetting how to pronounce it now. He and what's his face, the little one who died, are my two favorites. It's Kayabot. Auguste? What's his name? Is it Kayabot? Hold on. Now I'm forgetting here. Ernest. Gustav Caillebotte. Yep, TTE. That's what I thought. Probably he and what's his face, Toulouse-Lautrec are my two favorites, I would say. Although Monet, I mean, how do you not like Monet and all that kind of stuff? But Caillebotte's stuff is amazing to me. Just out of totally random thing to bring up. Anyway, I'm not doing a recap today because I'm not feeling great after doing my my COVID booster. So I'm gonna probably call it quits in a minute or two here. Take the dog outside for a few minutes because it's funny. Even though she's terrified of the rain, when I take her outside, if it's not raining, it breaks the spells for some reason. So I'm going to take her out now, and it'll clear her out. Dessert chocolat noir corsé. Thank you, Ashley. Yeah, I can't access that on here because I'm using a different software. Thanks, John Sarge. But at least folks can see it. Well, you can, Eric put it on Facebook, but you guys can see there. You can Google it. It's a great chocolate. Ouais, c'est trop bon. C'est super le chocolat. All right, guys. Voila, a quick recipe. No, I'm too tired. I really am too tired, guys. I gotta go. But I'll do another. The article name was Logistics Collapse. Logistics, plural, collapse. Put it in quotes on Google, and it should pull up the article. Her last name is Brzezinski. All right. I'm not doing a recap. Thank you, guys. All right, I'm going to sign off. Yeah, Thursday I will probably do a live viewing of the congressional hearing about the insurrection. It's at 8:00 Thursday. At least currently, it's at 8:00 Thursday night. So I'm thinking I'll probably skip this Thursday and we can watch that together. All right. Okay, guys. Good night. I'm going to get going. See you tomorrow. Same bat time, same bat channel.